Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Trauma and Friends We Made Along the Way podcast. This podcast is going to focus on a series of events that caused a group of women, who otherwise would have never met each other, into joining a cult. This cult involved scams, makeup, and murder. Each episode, we will have a different guest that will come on and discuss their individual experiences within this organization. We will also be discussing themes of trauma and emotional abuse. So please, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Trauma and Friends We Made Along the Way podcast. We are in season 2, and this is episode 2. It's called 3 Men and a Baby, which will make sense in a little bit. Jess was awesome and made up all the titles for our episodes. But we want to thank everyone who has been listening and watching, especially now that we've been putting out more of the short form content. That has been getting a lot of people interested in our story because they're like, oh, these products are actually really cool. So thank you for all those who are sharing, liking, subscribing, and all of that awesome good stuff. We hope you have had a good spring so far. And I know summer break is going to be starting for most of us here soon. But I want to hand it over to Jess so that way she can introduce our guests for today.
Thank you very much, Persephone. Welcome again, everybody. We'll see what kind of madness we get into going forward. It hasn't been easy so far, and it's not going to get easier. Thank you again for joining us. And please welcome Jennifer, who is new to the podcast. Cara, if you want to start us off with just a brief introduction on reminding people who you are.
Hi, I'm Kara Henry Fortier. I wasn't in the group for very long. I've been on the podcast before. This is my second episode, so I'm excited to see what we talk about this time.
And Jennifer?
Hey, I'm Jennifer. I'm not sure when exactly I joined the group. I should have gone back and looked through my Facebook history, but I was there for the glorious destructive end of it all. So probably about 3 years.
Okay. Yeah. Towards the end. Yeah. So this episode is going to be focusing a lot on the accountability, how we got into these things, the lack of accountability that people have had in this situation, and like the disappointments and things that go into it. And, that's partially why we chose to do the short form content the way we have, because a lot of the disappointment is the quality of the products and things. And then with what happened, it creates a lot of that sadness and like disappointment and what could have been. So, whoever would like to go first, how did you initially find out about the group? Like, what led you into it?
So I guess I can go. A former student of mine, because I'm a teacher, reached out to me and asked me if I was a competitive person, and I said, well, yeah, why? And like, oh, well, I'm in this nerdy group, and we do a house cat. And I wanted to see if you wanted to join because I know that you're a Slytherin and that's my house. It was like, yeah, sure, why not? And I joined during the sock debacle with the cough cold medicine ad. That was me.
How about you, Jennifer?
So it started for me with a bracelet. My friend Lindsay, who I think has been on the show, an actual in real life friend, she had this really cute Harry Potter charm bracelet with all the Horcruxes on it, and it was just really cute. And I asked her where she got it, and she had mentioned things about this nerdy Facebook group that she was in, and I had kind of laughed at her a little bit for being in a nerdy Facebook group. But she was like, "Yeah, join this group, and you'll see all the stuff about how you can get on these different companies of the jewelry." And really, I joined it I just wanted the damn bracelet. I didn't know what was going to happen.
Not the damn
That's
scarf,
I
the
think
damn
sad.
bracelet.
It's like,
Yeah.
I just wanted a bracelet.
Yeah.
I didn't want complex PTSD.
Yeah.
Like
Right?
that should be our T-shirt. All I wanted was a bracelet, and I
Mhm.
walked away with PTSD.
I
All
walked
I
away with
wanted
it.
was bracelets, and I got this stupid PTSD.
I'm
Yeah.
writing this down as merch ideas right here. Like I'm serious. With your permission, Jennifer, of course.
I did get the bracelet eventually, and I think I may still have it. I've
Oh,
seen your posts recently with like the few
yeah,
things that you've held on to,
yeah.
and that's what makes me so mad. Not to jump ahead on, but like
No, you're fine.
some
You're
of the
fine.
stuff that they made was actually really good. Like they were
Yeah.
creative and talented, and that's what
Mhm.
pisses me off is like the lost opportunity of what they could have done if they had just been decent people.
Yeah.
No, and that was the whole point of this episode is because, like, looking at it, I'm like, like, I mentioned in my little short videos, like, I used one of the lips, the horror lip, for my
Mhm.
wedding, and it didn't come off the whole night. I don't think I reapplied it. I think one of my friends who was there, who was also in the group, she, I think, like, touched it up, like, one time in the like, towards the end of the reception just for, like, the last pictures, but I'm like, "That's a long day to have that stay on and barely have to touch it." And I'm like, what kind of other quality have you found in other, like, makeup like that, or some of this
Yeah.
jewelry? Like, I know some of the jewelry, some people said, "Oh, like, this one tarnished or something," but that's gonna
Yeah.
happen. But I'm
I
like,
mean,
I
it
still
was
have
cheap. It was
plenty.
cheap costume jewelry.
Right.
I do
Yeah.
remember defending them when how you don't you're doing it by their initials, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember when E was complaining about some negative reviews she had gotten, and I stood up for her. I was like, y'all, it's a $13 box of costume jewelry. Like, you're not gonna get something from Tiffany and Company.
Yeah.
But that aside, like it was it was it was creative and it was cute stuff.
Yeah.
The
It was
ideas were
cute.
there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's like, especially at that time, I think a lot of people are forgetting there really wasn't that much fandom stuff
Mhm.
No.
for women and girls.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of like just t-shirts or, like it was more focused towards like the male end of that spectrum. So having this kind of fun, whimsical jewelry that you could dress up with or dress down with, whatever you wanted to do, that really didn't exist. Hot Topic didn't have a lot of that stuff then. Like now you can go on like a million different websites and things and get cool stuff, or Etsy. That all that was still in its infancy because we're
Mm-hmm.
talking like this is over 10 years. This is
Mhm.
not a
Yeah.
now thing. So getting that was actually pretty on the more unique end.
And it was stuff that, yeah, like you said, you could wear it. Like there was one of the necklaces I wore basically every day, I think for like 2 or 3 years. And it held up and it was decent. And again, for something that costs like, oh God, I'll say 10 Canadian dollars. Uh like it held up and I got a lot of compliments on it and stuff like that. And I think that was kind of the amazing thing about it, is that it was stuff that you could wear basically every day, that looked good, and you didn't really have too much of a problem with it. You had a lot of compliments off of it because you could wear it
Mhm.
to special events, or you could wear it every day. And
Yeah,
yeah,
some of it was kind of like subtly nerdy. Like
Yeah.
if you didn't know exactly, what the Death Star looked like, you wouldn't have clocked that they were Death Star earrings.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Or like that, I still have my little like secret garden bangle, like the little floral bangle. And I'm like, no one's going to know that that's like technically a fandom thing. It just looks like a floral, like resin bangle, that
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
you can get in a bunch of places. But it's like that has held up really well. That's unless I smash it, it's probably not going to have anything happen to it. Like, some of these pieces, like you said, they're subtle. They look nice with things. Like the Lord of the Rings little things just look like gold hoops unless you really look and see the script on it. A lot of that stuff, it was just very
Class,
nice to wear.
what it was.
And what's
Yeah.
bad though is, I'm still sitting here giving them their flowers for, the stuff they made was creative and cool stuff, but we all got burned so bad and found out there was so much BS going on behind the scenes that there's almost a part of me that's like, well, were they really the ones doing it? Like, were these designs that they stole from somebody else? I mean, maybe not. At this point, it's just, you can't believe anything that came out of them. So,
Well, it's
That's a
possible
fair point.
because they did were crowdsourcing through the group for their makeup stuff for a bit. Like it was, what do you guys want to see? And I remember that thread was longer than my arm on Facebook, and it was full of ideas for people had for the makeup and stuff like that. And some of the ideas were absolutely brilliant, and so they had ideas for stuff if they wanted to run for years, right? And then back, like you said, Persephone, this is back a decade ago. Over a decade now, I think, because I remember some of this stuff going on in 2012.
Yeah. It's at least that. Yeah.
You know, so like they could, I mean, they'd be one of the bigger brands right now because fandoms haven't slowed down.
No, not at
Yeah.
all.
Don't get me wrong, in this economy, but at the same time, like it's one of those companies that still probably could have made it, but
Well, it's like, yeah.
here we
Well, I
are.
mean, it's like the Hunger Games has this new movie coming out and they made those Hunger Game highlighters. Think of what they could have done with that, with this new book and movie that have been rolling out. People are super excited for, there's been a
Didn't
lot
they
of
have
that.
some kind of brush set that was like archery themed or something
Yeah.
around the Hunger Games as well?
Yeah. It was an archery brush set and it had like a quiver as the container. Jess sent me like her picture of it. That's going to be one of our little things. Like we have a little video of those like brushes, and the brushes look like arrows. They have the feathers on the end, and the tips are like they're more fine pointed for the most part, so they look more like they're not like they're not like big fluffy brushes. But they had all that. Think of how they could have expanded and continued with just that one IP alone. Just that one.
They had the Game of Thrones mock-ups that they were working on, which again, with the House of the Dragon coming out next month, they again could have gone there.
Well, hell, the Harry Potter ones that got duped, those brushes that got ran with the new TV series coming out, like that one IP alone, had they gotten permission to make it, because Lord knows they didn't actually do the the licensing right.
Not that time.
Yeah.
They needed.
And
That's
it makes me wonder. It makes
conversation.
Yeah. Well, all of this, it makes me wonder if they're watching, new Harry Potter, new Hunger Games, and if they're kicking themselves for, oh, what a missed opportunity, or if they're just still not taking responsibility for the fact that they tanked their own company that had so much potential.
Well, considering that they still owe me almost $1,000 that I will never see again, I highly doubt that they're taking responsibility in any capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the frustrating thing with the accountability. I think that had a different road been taken, like I think that had they owned up, paid their dues, and then some, then they would have had the same group of people backing them where they are. Like they could have gone a lot further, but instead they burned the bridge. Said, "But I didn't even light the match. I don't know what you're talking about. The bridge, it never existed in the first place."
Yeah.
And now here we are. Like, not cool, man.
Yeah.
Like I've said it before and I'll say it again. You know what? You can be an absolutely horrid person, but I'll have a bit more respect for you if you actually own up to it. I'm not going to like you.
Yeah.
I'll have a bit more respect for you.
Well, I feel like, I'm sitting here thinking about that first brush set, and for our listeners who don't know the story. So the first brush set was based on Harry Potter wands. And they did not get the permission from the IP to do that. And so there was some legal issue with that. They got duped a lot. A lot of other companies and people started making ones. And so that was the first foray into like the makeup realm of this. They had been doing these subscription boxes and then these brushes were that. And that should have been kind of our first red flag, that they didn't think, oh, if I make something with such a big IP like a Star Wars or a Harry Potter or Disney, that we might get in trouble for doing it, because the subsequent wizard stuff they did had to be called like witchcraft and wizardry, which is like there was a eyeshadow palette, the lips, and then they did a second brush set with just their own version of wands instead of the actual Harry Potter ones. So that's how that got started. And it's like, you wouldn't have thought of it then. That's a hindsight 2020, but how much of a red flag was that they did this? And then when other people started duping it, that's when we really got sicked on those people. That's when we were reporting those brushes. We were commenting and saying, oh, you stole this from these people. That's when the more mob mentality of things really kicked up, in my opinion. Is that brush set was kind of the catalyst for it moving into that, because technically they were in the wrong. They should not have made that, but we defended them
Well, I think
in that.
what allowed them to kind of get away with it, made it less of a red flag, was that prior to that, all their jewelry had been fandom themed, and they had a lot of like Harry Potter and stuff like that. And I remember when those brushes went viral,
Yeah.
and BuzzFeed even did an article on them, and like, whoa, what the heck is going on? And when I moved to England for a bit, I asked somebody, well, one of my favorite two truths and a lie had to do with being in a cult. I ended up bringing up the brushes, and they were like, oh my God, no, I've seen those. And I was like, so you've heard of our cult?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that definitely that had they gone about a lot of that the right way, because I don't even think that they had HBO check off until after they'd started talking about their mock-ups
Yeah.
for GOT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they were definitely a lot more on the beg forgiveness than to ask permission end of the road.
Yeah. Yeah.
Only
I would agree.
work till you go viral.
Honestly, I am surprised that the three are not in jail for copyright infringement.
Yeah.
Like,
Especially with that big of a thing.
honestly, like, just because it wasn't just HP that they did that with.
Oh.
There were so many large IPs that they did not get permission for, but the brushes happened to go viral. And
Yeah.
Lord knows that Rowling is fiercely protective of her IP.
Yeah.
Because back when the Warner Brothers discussion board was really big with writing fan fiction, and she tried to go after the writers and was advised not to. Like, yeah, again, that's a whole separate thing. But
Yeah,
like,
we even
I'm
have
honestly surprised.
Yeah, we have a Harry Potter themed pop-up bar here where I live that just got shut down by Warner Brothers, and they were very careful. It was all inspired by, and they tried not to have any kind of like copyright images or words or anything, but it was still close enough that they got shut down. And
Yep.
thinking about the Star Wars, I mean, there's not
Disney is
there's
not
not a company in this country more litigious than Disney. And I
Yeah.
just like the balls to do that, and that we were all just okay with it. We were all like, well, once they see how great and creative your stuff is, surely they'll give you permission. So we were like the cheer squad, telling them,
Yeah.
oh yeah, go break the law.
Well, especially because it was when they were like, oh, maybe we shouldn't do that, and they went for public stuff with their Wizard of Oz and with all of that stuff that was public domain. And you're like,
Wow.
it started here.
Yeah. Mean Girls, all the stuff that was sold in Ulta, I know, was officially licensed.
Yeah.
So like Mean Girls,
Ulta wouldn't have risked that.
absolutely.
Also,
Yeah.
when they touched it with a 50-foot pole.
Yeah, and then I remember when they went to, I guess it would have been American Greetings. I don't know who owns the Care Bear brand anymore, but I remember when they went for the Care Bear thing, and it was all, official and kosher, and then it just never materialized.
Yeah, that was
And
around the time.
that should have been a big warning sign to us that they finally had a brand that was on board and giving them permission, and they couldn't.
You know what's funny about that?
survive.
I did a huge like photo purge recently, and that's where I was like finding my little influencer pictures, and I was like, oh, I'll save these because I'll post them. And I found, remember they did that makeup contest where they wanted you to do a little Care Bear look, and a lot of, like I drew like a little makeup heart in like a pink lip, like on my and into my nose, and they wanted to post and tag, and I saved it because the Care Bear brand liked my picture. And I'd saved that. I was like, "Oh, this is cool," because they encouraged that as, like, sort of a little competition
Mhm.
because they had just made that deal with that IP, or, like, they were working on that deal or whatever. And
Yeah.
then you're right, like, they never made a palette, they never did any brushes, like, nothing ever
Yeah.
Was here.
they did that, and then that was it, like, that little contest, Instagram thing.
And I wanna know why. That's the thing, I was never somebody who was super involved in a lot of the drama, but, oh my god, I was always the Michael Jackson eating popcorn gif, like, watching everything go down, and I wanna know so bad, like, why did that deal fall through? You know
Well, and I just remembered, didn't they go after Hot Topic at first for creating book palettes as well?
Oh,
Yep.
They
yeah.
did.
Yeah. So,
Mhm.
and then they went and had a meeting with them to partner with them or whatever. But I remember they were absolutely just pissed that Hot Topic was like, "We also do book palettes." And they're like,
Mhm.
"Well, that's yeah." And I'm like, "Well, where did Harry Potter come from then? Like, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
use your public domains and then run with it, but we're playing with fire otherwise."
Well, and Hot Topic has the money to do it, and if you didn't get there first, it's not like you patented the idea. Like, technically, they can kind of
Well,
I mean, it sucks, but, like, you technically stole first too, at least Hot Topic has a deal with most of these IPs kind of just in the running. Like, that's why when you go in
Mhm.
there now, it's less goth punk stuff like when I was a kid, and now it's just all like,
yeah,
fandom stuff.
It's
Well,
all
that's because they
bluey
bought
right
Claire's,
now.
or Claire's
Yeah.
bought them.
Yeah.
yeah,
I miss it being a garage band, like underwater, like underground band. I
Yeah.
miss my safe space for Hot Topic. Oh man.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like I do know that like their jewelry and stuff got so popular that I actually received gifts from like it wasn't it like I don't want to say the name, but it wasn't like O Crate. Wasn't that the name of
yeah,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
yeah. 'Cause again, I
Yeah.
don't want to say the name of it and get in trouble. But no, so I had students who actually had bought some of those and gave me jewelry pieces from them before I was ever in the group.
Yeah.
And I still
yeah,
have some because my students gave it to me. So of course I'm not going to get rid of stuff that my kids have given me. But like I still have some of those jewelry pieces and they hang from like my rear view mirror as like little bangles and things to remember my students by. But like 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids got in on this, not just people in the group, but like the deception just got so widespread with a lot of innocent parties.
yeah, yeah. We had there was I mean, it was even in the group. There was somebody in the who was if I remember correctly, she was under 18 when she joined,
Hmm.
and they took advantage of that.
Yep.
If it's the one you're thinking of, it wasn't it the daughter of one of the really active members?
Baby Snake.
Uh, sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Baby Snake.
Oh, okay. No, there was
That was
another.
her nickname in the group.
There was another one from Canada,
Mm.
I didn't know
Oh.
that one. I only knew
from,
Baby Snake.
from Manitoba.
Oh, so there's
Uh,
more than one. There you
yeah,
go.
I'm not surprised. I'm pretty sure that my former student joined right on like their 18th birthday or something.
yeah, yeah.
Which
Yeah.
18 is not the magic number of being a grown up. It's just
No.
this
No,
arbitrary thing we've picked, like
Yeah.
the I think back to myself at 18 and I'm like, yeah, I was not a grown up
Well,
then,
your frontal
and
lobe isn't developed
especially
until you're like 25 years old. Please.
uh, yeah.
Like,
And then like all the scams and stuff that are going on, you're just like, oh God, I hope they didn't ask someone that young. Like, I actually, one of the short form contents I'm going to be posting is I actually went back through all my messages and found the actual scam conversation, and I screenshotted it, and I like edited certain things out because I have like a screenshot of my PayPal, and like,
mhm.
I went through and edited it, and I'm going to post it and be like, this is how they would do this. And I'm like, did they go and ask those teenagers, those 17, 18-year-olds the same thing? Because that's going to extra piss me off. At least I was like a grown adult and like had my own agency and like a job and whatever.
Yeah.
did you go and ask teenagers? Because that's going to make me even angrier.
Well, and
I
I
think
think
they
he asked
did. I
me.
think I remember the mother of baby Snake that you're referring to. I think I remember her saying that she.
Oh yeah,
It's some of
that's
this has
what
been a
lit
while,
Mama
but
Snake up.
I think she offered her one of the one of a kind prototypes that were
Oh my
offered to
God.
50 other people.
Yeah,
If I hear prototype, it's like a trigger word for me, like deconstructed food. That's my huge trigger word. And now prototype. It's like that for me. Like,
yeah.
if I hear one more, like, or blank
Waffle.
Starbucks cup,
Yeah.
because that was promised all, like, oh, we'll make you your own Starbucks cup of whatever you wanted. Because when I was doing the screenshots, I found she promised me two.
I
Well, we're
forgot
limited
about the
to one
fucking
and
cup.
something else.
I
Yeah.
forgot about the fucking cups.
That was one of the last things, like, because it was right when everything was really
Yeah.
coming clean and coming to
Imploding,
light, and
you mean?
everything was falling apart. And there were these Halloween Starbucks cups that everybody wanted. And one of my best friend that I actually made from the group, she was like, "Oh, E says that she's at Starbucks and she can get those cups for me." And I remember telling her, "Do not send her any money. You will never get those cups." And she's like, "But I want them so bad."
You
And
won't get it though.
and
Like,
she did,
Keep wanting
and
them.
she never got them. And I think I was angrier about the Starbucks cups than she was, because I was the one constantly being like, "Hey, so where are those cups?" And because E would still post in the group about stuff, and I would
Mhm.
always comment like, where's those cups that you promised so and so, and silence.
remember, her cat knocked him over.
Oh, I don't think.
That's
Yeah, well, it was also she was already at the Starbucks, so she was gonna. So she said she'd pick them up for anybody who wanted. Send her the cost of the cup plus shipping plus money for like gas. I'm like, bitch, you're already at the Starbucks. We don't need to give you gas money.
yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
It was. I want to go back and find the cat screenshot because I remember when she said that I was like, they broke all of them. Like
the
all of them broke.
Conveyor belt with
the
the cat.
dead cat that she got arrested for not vaccinating, or was a different cat?
I don't know. It's just-
No, this is just the cup knockover cat.
Yeah.
There's
Yep.
so many so much cat drama in that group.
I'm gonna make a cat T-shirt too with a cat knocking a Starbucks shaped cup off.
Cat knocking over a Starbucks shaped cup with a piece of fried chicken flying out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or hang mouth like a cigarette. Like just
There you go, drumstick cigar. I'm here for it.
Yeah, that was also when she was still doing the all those custom boxes that I don't think anybody got a single one.
Oh, I ordered 2 of those and never got either one.
yeah.
And I remember because I saw the writing on the wall a little sooner than some people, not as soon as other. And that's another thing. Sorry, I'm bouncing around like crazy, but I
You're
remember people that would leave the group and it would be under like mysterious, dramatic circumstances, and now I'm like, oh well, what did they know that the rest of us didn't realize at the time? But I remember when she started posting about like, oh, I need money, I got to pay these bills, and doing all of these custom boxes. And I remember I messaged her and I was like, hey, those custom boxes seem like they're going to be a lot of work. I was like, do you really think you have the time to do all those? And she was just like, yeah. I was rooting for her. Like, I genuinely felt bad for her that she was having all these issues with bills. And I was rooting for her. I wanted her to make these cups for these people that she said were her friends and the custom boxes. But then more truth came out. And I was just like, yeah.
Well, and is E the one who did the painting classes?
Oh, like the paint and sip things, like she was
Yes.
Oh, I
doing.
remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was.
I'm
I think
pretty
so.
sure it was her because my husband and I actually did one, and we really genuinely had a lot of fun with that one. But no, we actually did one of those with her.
Yeah.
And I always wondered why she didn't offer more of those, because that's cheaper than dumping a bunch of money into a custom box. But
Well, because you had to buy your own supplies and stuff too. You were just
Yeah,
paying for her to host it.
not do a bunch of work. do a bunch of work.
Yeah.
Right? Well, and
Yeah.
like the deal was like actually pretty cheap as well. It was like $10 or something like that. And my husband's like, well, we don't care. Like, because our kid's an artsy fartsy person. So we have canvases and paint coming out of our ears in our house. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, the kid didn't live with us at that time, but they kept some art supplies with us. And we always kept backstock for the kid for little presents and stuff. And so, I mean, it wasn't any skin off of our nose to do it. Although he did severely hit on my husband during that paint sip, and it got really awkward.
Ooh. What?
He hit on my husband multiple times.
Ew.
Yeah, I went up for E's birthday party, and she actually touched my husband and hit on him.
Well, I mean, that kind of
Yeah.
with her track record on partners, but like,
Yeah,
That's a conversation I don't think we've really gotten into.
we haven't ever
Sid.
gotten into that one. That's probably a different podcast episode if you want to get into that kind of misconduct. But yeah,
Yeah. There was a lot of like weird,
Mhm.
unfaithful stuff going on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
that's
And apparently it's still going on.
yeah.
yeah.
I wash my hands of that, and I just say no, thank you. I don't want whatever you're carrying.
Yeah, that's
Be it bad karma, bad juju, bad whatever you want to call it. I'm
because like I just remember part of the reason she kept asking for money is because his neurodivergence and stuff and his introversion were just so bad. Her husband couldn't work and make any money, and she had to bring all the money in, and he just sat around most of the time not doing anything, is how she described it. Like he might go do some sort of gig or something somewhere a little bit, but like he wasn't doing anything, and she constantly complained about it.
Mhm.
I think I commented once that I could get her the name of a divorce lawyer that practiced in Nebraska.
Yeah.
And that just set her off.
Well, because suddenly out of nowhere, her husband isn't doing the job that he's done for 20 years and seems to love and has continued doing after this spell of not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But what do I know?
What do we know?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I just if they had worked half as hard at a job as they did on scamming people, they probably could have been more successful.
Right?
Well, half the stuff, the reason this didn't work is one, they got too greedy too fast, like Lord of the Rings stuff, like the
Mhm.
dwarves in the Mines of Moria. But the other part of it was they didn't know how to actually run a real big business. And they didn't do any of the research on this is how you pay your taxes. And this is how business money works. And this is how this. Like I own 2 LLCs. And I have an accountant that tells me exactly what I need to do. And she's like, these are your guidelines. And guess who follows it? And I don't have any issues with the IRS or losing my mortgage or any of the things that they started to have happen because they got too greedy and started buying a bunch of crap they didn't need. And then they had to scam to make ends meet because they were in the hole with the business, which could have honestly, they could be multimillionaires by now if they had done the actual groundwork and put the effort into those first couple years, which are the hardest in a business. It would have been so much easier, and probably none of this would have happened at all. And we would probably still be buying their stuff because they would have put the effort into the business, focused on that. But instead, they were like, we just want the money. We want to buy multiple VR headsets for children that don't use them and crazy, weird dishware and buy these big houses too fast instead of living within your means, building the business up, and then you have all the profit. You can do whatever, you want with at that point.
But I think that's mirrored almost in what Kara said about the paint nights versus the boxes, right? Like the paint nights, arguably to some degree, are a lot more work than telling people you're going to do X, Y, and Z and never following through. Like, so she's going to, like, I think that shows there the whole, like, I'd rather do as little work as possible for as much money as I can rather than, even though it's not like paint nights, I know are work in regards to planning it and putting it in and everything like that. But they're arguably more work than telling people you're going to do X, Y, and Z. But they're arguably also less work than creating a whole bunch of custom boxes. Although, unless you're never actually going to do anything about that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that in and of itself, like, proves that it was never really about.
Yeah. Why spend time painting tumblers when you could be sending people emails about, oh, I accidentally refunded your order, and
Copy and paste is a lot less work.
Yeah. Just a pure laziness, because it's like, I don't get it. I have a Capricorn stellium in my astrological chart. We're workaholics and all, like we believe in building like long-term, like I'm going to be able to retire kind of wealth, like, and I've got other business things I'm working on right now with some other people, and we've all agreed like this is the timeline we want to have. Like we want to take this time so we know we've done it right. Like these are our duties for these different things. Like we've been able to delegate, and it's like, I know it's so frustrating to have to do that work, but it's like, but once you've done it, then it starts just doing it on its own. Then it becomes this, system that refills itself. And yeah, you might have to put out a fire or two, but it becomes something that interworks, and then you can work on the next thing. And it's just, I don't get that level of laziness to where then that laziness abuses people.
Yeah. Can
There's
you
one thing. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, can you imagine how much they would be using AI and Chat GPT right now? if
The
things,
flames the side of my face right now. I freaking hate it.
Your words.
Flames on the side of my face.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, no, they would do, oh my God, like all the descriptions of everything would be some Chat GPT slop crap with M dashes everywhere. Like just,
Hey, I use M dashes, all right?
I do too.
So do I.
But like, it's just
And then if we had called them out on it, we'd probably get blocked.
Yeah.
And God, the threat of being blocked in that group was just crazy. And when I think back, I know there were a lot of people in that group who would talk about, how they were neurodivergent or had terrible social anxiety, and I don't really have any real life friends, and I feel like those were the people who got preyed on the most.
Yeah.
And that just makes me so angry when I think about it.
Yep.
They knew how to choose their victims.
Yeah, there were a lot of people in that group who makes me really angry to think about it.
Well, because you go into this group knowing so many of the rest of us are neurodivergent, chronically ill, like a lot of introverted people or loners, like, and that's why it felt so safe, because we all had such similar experiences that we could, and that's why we supported each other so often when someone started a business. Like one of the episodes we want to do is invite some of the other small business owners who were in the group and how it like affected their stuff after, because I know several who stopped having a business at all because it stressed them out so bad, because then they'd feel bad that they couldn't get something shipped out because people would give them crap because they're like, oh, you're just like a triplet because you didn't get us our thing on time. We saw a lot of that after. I know several people, and you see this sort of like ripple effect with it, and it's just so upsetting because I think it also forced a lot of people, like I know several who left social media and have never come back because it was so traumatizing that your one safe place turned out to be so painfully horrible.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think back on, before we realized everything, or at least before I realized stuff was going on, and it'd be a post about a cat, or hey, did you guys see this new movie trailer? And all the comments would be like, hey, I sent you a PM. Hey, I sent you a PM. Hey, check your DMs. And at the time, it was like, oh, she's so busy. She's this successful businesswoman. And now I realize that was another way that they were just taking advantage of people, because it was just so mysterious. When really what those DMs were about were like, hey, did you fix the thing where you stole $1,000 out of my PayPal? Hey, can you check your DMs because the thing you promised me never showed up?
Hey,
And it was just so. When I finally realized why people were commenting all the time, check your DMs, check your DMs. It just pissed me off so bad. And when I think, and I know the purpose of the podcast is to talk about the friendships and trying to find the positive stuff that came out of it. But I'm still just really angry. I think because of the lack of accountability, the lack of any kind of monetary justice. It just pisses me off so bad that they were criminals and they were doing criminal activity, and I just can't sugarcoat it. It was like, well, we all good friendships came out of it. I'm like, no, they need to go to fucking jail.
And that's the saddest part of this, because our next episode is actually called Crime and Punishment. We're going to be talking a lot about the crime aspect of
Yeah.
this. And it's so frustrating because as I try to explain to a lot of people, because a lot of my family are in the legal field, laws are only as good as those who enforce it. And, for example, the American Disabilities Act, it does not have an enforceable entity. So you have to sue personally in order for something to change. And how many people with disabilities have the money and time and energy to deal with that? And it's the same with this kind of stuff. Like, there are entities that can enforce certain things, but it depends on the laws of the state you're dealing with. And then you've got that and the fact that there's international. A lot of times people don't want to touch international stuff because there's not really like a unifying body for a lot of that when it comes to this more white collar crime, like for murders and stuff. Yeah, they'll work together to extradite a lot of the time. But when we're talking this kind of, scam stuff, there really isn't one entity you can go to. And when you try to go to these other entities, they won't touch it because, well, then this state's involved or this is involved or the internet was involved. So that makes it federal. Well, then the federal doesn't want to deal with it because the international. So it's like, where do you go for this justice? And it just doesn't exist a lot of the time, which is why so many scammers can continue to do what they do, not just these people, but like the phone scams, internet scams, like those IRS ones they do all the time, or when they pretend to be the police and call you. They get away with it a lot because who enforces it?
Yeah.
Nobody. And, that's the smart thing about the internet is the laws don't keep up with how fast it moves. So what do you do? And the fact that there is no real accountability is so painful for so many people. And, a lot of people deserve closure and they're still scamming people. Several, of my friends and, some of us are mutual friends with those people have seen them in other groups posting. And when we've tried to warn those groups, the moderators of those groups block us.
Yep.
Not them. They block us for
Yeah.
trying to report it. So then they continue to scam other innocent people, and then they move on to the next group once they finally burn that bridge. They're still doing.
Yeah.
Still.
Anything to not get a real job.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think to touch on what you said, like kind of in comparison to the murder end of things, I think in this day and age, as much as we are further ahead with it, I think that there's that, I guess, lack of recognition to the pain that this type of stuff does cause. Unfortunately, with murder and stuff like that, it's physically there. The evidence is there. The body is there. With this stuff, the damage is different because you haven't cut off an arm. You've damaged a part of somebody's soul or a brain or whatever, right? And because the world is very, very slow at recognizing that type of trauma as for what it is, even though the evidence is blaringly in neon in front of them. There's that lack of ability. And I think that especially the internet right now, the internet's the internet is such an interesting thing to me. The social political aspect of it, like all of that stuff is super interesting to me, but it's absolutely terrifying at the same time because how far can those laws reach without overstepping? What does this look like? I will save this for the crime and punishment episode. But
some overlaps. Okay.
Yeah, at the end of the day, this accountability from them, it's almost as if they feel like you don't have to have the accountability because where's the damage?
Mhm.
And it's hard to explain to people because I was telling somebody about it earlier this week, and it's hard to explain the gravity of it and the reach of it because it's like, oh yeah, I was in a Facebook group for Harry Potter nerds and shit went south. But that doesn't really explain like how special and how involved people really were in when you hear Facebook group, you think, well, whoop-de-doo. But it sounds corny, but it really was more than that. And it
Mhm.
meant so much to so many people. And we gave them so much support and so much adulation, honestly. I mean, I remember,
Mhm.
if you met one of the triplets in real life, you had met the Pope. It was just,
Yeah.
and all, I'm beating a dead horse, but all the jokes about, oh, it's like we're in a cult, and then when it was all over, it's like we kind of were in a cult.
Yeah.
Right?
Jesus. Anyway, I don't know where we were. Um, we're okay. So we're talking about groups.
How
Okay,
special
so
the big group was.
yeah, like it was such a unique place to go at the end of the day, and like I to this day do not participate in many groups at all. Like there's a couple I'll like check in on, but I purposely avoid groups because it's like how many hours did we spend checking it? Like when you had a break at work or when you got
Mhm.
home and you're like, oh, let's see who posted what today and like, what are we getting into? People would write movie reviews like, oh, I went and saw this. People would share their biggest joys, like getting pregnant or married or got a new job. It was like this, it was like, back in the day, the community message boards at churches and stuff, in small towns where people would post their happiest things and you would check it out and you'd be like, oh, I'm so happy for them. Like it was usually so uplifting. And if someone was having a bad day, how many people would drop stuff and check on them, like
Mhm.
talk to them privately, or we'd send them memes or something to kind of cheer
Yeah.
them up, like, and then we had all the subgroups for different things. And like when COVID hit and Animal Crossing was the thing, that Animal Crossing group was hopping all the time because we were always like visiting each other's islands and sharing stuff and everything because you were bored out of your mind. And so it was your community hub for the better part of a decade for some
Well, and
people,
it's like we
and when that's
also
gone.
like
Yeah.
and like I've tried to explain to people like about this group and things like that and the damage that was done and whatnot. And like I get stared at like I have three heads whenever I talk about it. But like we cared so much about each other. Like there was a fucking photo album where you had your picture, you had your full name, you had your address of where you lived and things like that. So that like because we had people like going on trips or whatever, like like you updated the picture so that we had like what were you last seen wearing if you went out on a blind date and stuff like that. Like
Mhm.
we we did a lot of things to try to protect each other and keep each other safe. And the call was literally coming from inside the fucking house.
Yeah.
We had an
It was.
And
actual murderer, and we contributed to her GoFundMe.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my God. That's my favorite part of the story, just because that's usually what shocks people. Cause I'm like, oh, yeah, we also had a murder. And they're like,
Mhm.
what? Because at first
yeah,
they're like a cult. And then you're like, oh, no, there was a death.
Yeah.
yeah,
She
But
got her own Dateline episode and everything.
yeah.
yep.
And
Well,
in the
then,
Dateline episode, she's wearing her Gryffindor T-shirt from the House Cup Challenge.
Yeah. Like,
you
and
just have to laugh at it now because you're
Yeah.
just like, what is my life?
I
That
will
this is
say
the.
though, I think if we had heard that 911 call from the start, we would have known, and we wouldn't have given
Yeah.
given to that GoFundMe.
mhm,
Fakest
yeah,
911 call I've ever heard.
Yeah. Well, a lot of us are true crime junkies anyway,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
neurodivergent, AFAB, and women are usually very into that. But
yeah.
it's astonishing when you just look at,
Yeah.
and we did like secret Santas, like the gift exchange. I
Mhm.
in my photo dump I found where the person, one of the years her husband was in the military and she was sent to Hawaii, didn't really know anybody. She was a professional baker, and I hand stitched a personalized Harry Potter KitchenAid mixer cover for her. Like I embroidered it with her name and did like the, the HP lightning bolt and like some other little symbols and it was her in her favorite color. And she like cried because she was so happy because she had the professional KitchenAid and it's harder to find covers for because it's bigger, it's not the little ones. And, I sent her some like cool sunglasses and like all these things. And she was posting the picture. She was so happy with everything.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of, and I still have the coasters someone made me. They made me Harry Potter coasters with the book pages. They decoupaged them and like did all that. And I was like, this is really cute. It's one of the few Harry Potter things I've kept is like, well, because they handmade this for me,
Yeah,
like they,
I kept the handmade things. I don't know that I have much licensed merch anymore.
yeah. Handmade, I consider a little bit different, especially if somebody like
Okay.
took their time and energy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest disappointment for me is the way such a tight knit community broke down, and it broke down fast when it did.
Yeah.
Like it was not a slow process. Once we realized it was what a matter of weeks to maybe a couple of months. It was not, and so you're talking like decade-ish long time done that fast.
Yeah.
It was
And
it was done in under 2 months
yeah.
when it started to unravel. It was gone in under 8 weeks. Like it still exists. You can still go back and scroll through things, but it's not the same.
Yeah. A lot of the people that I, considered friends that I made through the group, we've kind of lost touch because we're not that active on Facebook anymore. We did the big group meetup in Orlando where we rented the house and everybody went to Universal Studios and it was great. And I talked to maybe 2 of those people on a regular basis now. It's just kind of it's sad, but
Yeah.
Yep.
it is what it is.
Yep.
Yeah. It's, I have a couple of people I've met in real life, like Christina, who's been a guest, one of my friends here, like a couple people live in Louisville with me. I've met you, Jennifer, when I've gone out to your area, and Kara and I've talked about a meetup because there's a few, friends in that same spot where you are, like, so there's a few people,
Yeah.
but it's
But
definitely
even
not the same.
Yeah, and even with the group that did the Orlando trip, maybe 2, 3 months later, one of the girls who had been the organizer and the planner for all of it, all of a sudden just posted in the group a picture of like her Phantom of the Month jewelry, and she's like, "Does anybody want this? It's going in the trash." And then she
Yeah.
unfriended everybody
Wow.
and vanished. And I was like, "Well, again, Michael Jackson with the popcorn, what happened? Like something had to have happened." She probably found out something about the triplets, and I really wish that instead of, unfriending all of us that she had told, but at the same time, sorry, I'm bouncing all over the place here, but at the same time, I remember situations where somebody, did get scammed or did get screwed over by one or more of the triplets, and they would try and tell us about it, and they would get bullied and become persona non grata. And it's like, again, it was just so cult like. It was so cult like.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was an
We did-
MLM,
Yeah,
but
we didn't want to hear it.
No.
Was like, and like I said, I came in at the tail end of the group. Like I want to say I was in it less than 2 years total from when I joined to when it was gone, if I got my timeline right. But like I noticed the cult like elements and everything, and we were like, hey, like this is kind of sketchy, and like I got torn apart in that group more than once because I didn't protect the triplets with everything, and I did question them publicly, and I didn't really care, and I didn't get ever blocked. I don't know why I didn't get blocked. As vocal as I was with whenever I did question them and I questioned them publicly, I don't know why they never tossed me. That's one thing I never understood. With as often as I got gone after in that group, I never got tossed out of it. And I'm a spiteful cunt and I refused to leave. Like, I refused to leave. And so like I don't know why. I didn't get. And that's something that I've always wondered as to why, especially after I went and met E. I went up to her birthday party and I didn't get tossed after that interaction and how I treated her for touching my husband and just making him uncomfortable. She didn't like touch him in like a physically inappropriate place, but like her touching him was inappropriate, if that makes sense, because he's not
Yeah.
comfortable with that because he never met her before.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
was like one of those lingering touches on the shoulder and like kind of like a light rub down the
Oh,
shoulder
no,
blade type
that's
thing.
no.
And my husband just,
First,
if his skin could have crawled off of his bones, I think it would have. Like,
It's
but
one thing to
like,
like offer a handshake or,
mhm.
like, or, some of my friends like will do like the quick little like pat hug or something,
Right.
like that's
But you're a
fine, but like a
friend. Like, you've
lengthy,
met him before. My husband was not in the group. My husband
yeah,
had never talked with this person. Like, we
yeah,
had never interacted with her. She was also drunk off her ass, so it's fine.
yeah. Like if Will came up and like I gave him a hug, I think it'd be totally different because I've known you all longer and like we've
Yes.
talked and like had many conversations. It's
Oh,
it's a very
absolutely.
different vibe, but it's just one of those things where it's a different kind of touch, like instinctually,
Yeah.
when somebody like does certain things. Like I'm very weird with touch. And so everybody knows, like I'll hug people hello and goodbye,
hmm
but it best be the quickest hug unless I've known you or I'm comfortable with you. Like, like
Yeah.
my dad versus you brought your new partner to one of my
Yeah.
parties or something and I've never met
Like,
them.
my husband will still ask me, "Hey, honey, is it okay?" Like, he'll flop on me. He'll ask, like, "Oh, wait, is this okay?" Like, my husband asks for my consent to touch me because I find physical touch so difficult. Like, I get
Yeah.
being weird with touch.
It's
I'm married to
I don't
him, and he still checks in on me to make sure I'm okay with it.
Well, which is a good thing. It's
Yeah.
just with her, especially we know like some of her MO with this kind of stuff that that's what I think also why it stands out.
Well, but see, here's the other thing. I didn't know about the infidelity crap.
Oh.
I didn't know, like, you saying the infidelity stuff today is the first time that I heard about those accusations.
right.
Like,
She
she just skeeved him out. It makes
Yeah.
sense now that I have the context. Thank you, years later. But like, yeah, but I didn't know about that until you mentioned it today. Hence
It's
my face
it's
when I heard it.
I don't know the whole timeline in terms of like by memory, but
hmm
there was like a lot of weirdness and she was like seeing someone while she was still married and there was like a pregnancy
Oh,
situation.
um,
Yeah,
It's
and that
how it's
guy
involved.
didn't want to have a baby.
Yeah.
okay.
Didn't
Like,
the
yeah.
like the current husband's sister like reach out to somebody
Yep.
that had been in the group about
Mhm.
this person?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh
Yep.
wow, I
Yep.
didn't. Nope.
Yeah.
It got
Sure.
that was towards the end, and that was like at a weird time anyway, to where we're like, what in the
Well,
world
that
is
was
going on?
after. That was like everything had fallen apart. Like nobody could
Yeah.
get in touch with her. She didn't post anything on social media anymore. Most of us were blocked. And then out of nowhere on Instagram there was a pregnancy photo and we're like, "Oh, but you're not
Oh,
okay." And then it
okay.
turned out that the guy that she was with, and I think they're married now,
I
but
think so.
his
Yeah.
sister reached out to someone in the group, I can't remember who, and was like, "Hey, this person, got involved with my brother. He was married, and she just seems real sketchy." And
What info do you have? And they were like,
yeah,
oh, not
It was like,
good.
oh girl.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
it was that was just like a little like bonus,
Mhm.
like at the end of the whole
It
thing
was
of
a
like,
side quest.
okay,
yeah.
just
It wasn't
throw
a
that.
sequel, but it was like a spinoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like your little digestive you get at the end of like a
Mhm.
fancy meal, your little like limoncello you get in
Yeah,
an Italian
it was
restaurant.
our version. It was our version of Gilmore Year in the Life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So why are we calling this one three men and a baby?
Well,
So
because they made a baby that they didn't really raise correctly.
hmm
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
They
I got
made
that.
this they that was this amalgam of like how like they didn't know how to actually care for something they, created or were in charge of. They didn't know how to be a grown up. just in general. Like they thought, singing a fun song, if you've seen the movie for, our younger generations, they sing a fun song and come up with fun ways to change a diaper, but are you actually raising this baby? Like, it's a very 80s version of how like a man would have parented back then, it's watching it through a more modern lens, but it's a cute movie, but it's definitely like, is that really taking care of something? You're just doing the fun parts, and you should have been able to work together to do the harder things, and they just never really learned how. And I find it really sad because you can tell the creativity was there. And they did make some good business choices in terms of like the formulations for the makeup and stuff. Like one of the comments I got on the short form about the one palette I kept was I kept the eyeshadows. This person said, I kept the eyeshadows because they don't make my eyes water like other eyeshadow palettes do. I've heard people talk, the lips thing, like they didn't have like burning and itching. The quill eyeliner, like actually stayed on. Like the quality of the products, and they were also, I believe, vegan too, which, for a lot of people is a big deal. And, like we got to protect the animals and stuff. So like that was an aspect. And these were like big palettes, and the colors stayed. The pigment was awesome. I'm a big makeup person, and, I would swatch it and I'd be like, this is not coming off, or it looks how it's supposed to. Cause I hate buying a palette and you swatch it and that color looks cool in the pot, and then you put it on and I'm like, that doesn't even look yellow anymore. Like that looks like a weird beige on anybody's skin, so the fact that like these things were such good quality and the variety was nice. Like, Jess has kept more of her stuff than I did. So I'm going to be posting on her. She's kept so many of the palettes, like the little ones and the big ones. And, it was just good quality. The variety was there. The packaging was cute, which is a lot of fun. Like that Van Gogh palette has that specific little drawer. So if I want to stick some eyeliners in there or some brushes, I can do that. I didn't show the slip cover, but it looks like a picture frame, like a painting frame. And I had taken that off just for the sake of the video. But I'm like, there was effort. The highlighters were actually really nice. I liked those, and I'm not a highlighter girl. So the fact that I liked them, like everything looked good. It was good quality. The brushes were actually heavy. They don't fall apart. They don't shed the little like fibers everywhere. They had something so good. And
Do
they
you
just,
remember though, because they made a big deal about, oh, everything's vegan, no animal testing. Wasn't there some sort of like controversy when they were in one of those beauty boxes that the products actually were being made in China?
I don't remember that.
Okay.
I remember that there was an issue
me.
get everything shipped out. So one of the boxes didn't have everything, so not all of their customers received what they were supposed to receive, because they didn't get all the product from them that they were supposed to get. But I mean, it's very likely that they probably fleeced all.
I don't remember the details, but I remember it was like it was one of the mini pallets that that wasn't part of buying directly from them or one of their companies. It was one of those where like, oh,
Little Women palette.
Yeah, it was the 3 fairy tale ones, because they had a deal with one of the beauty subscription boxes.
Yeah.
For the fairy tale palette specifically, I believe the Sleeping Beauty one. And that one went out in that box, but they didn't give all the product that the box needed to ship out. And
No,
so
I meant for Jennifer with the animal testing thing. Was it the Little Women palette?
I can't remember. I just remember it was one that
there was something with the Little Women palette. I remember big drama around that.
It was one that was made specifically for like one of those beauty subscription boxes.
Okay, then
and
maybe
that
not.
when people got it, it was made in China. It didn't have the same kind of label on it that the rest of their merch had.
So if one of our listeners remembers this, if you want to like message the podcast like on one of our DMs,
Yeah.
I can always add like a little blurb to this episode or like do a little short form thing because
And
that would be
I
actually
may be remembering it wrong, but I am pretty sure it was a storybook thing.
No, I think you're right, because I feel like it had to do with that same thing. Like, because they couldn't get enough product, I think that they then used a backup that was not, because there was an issue. I remember some of them not being the same.
Mhm.
The
interesting.
And there was an issue with the Joe lipstick.
because they didn't ship out. They didn't all have Joes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for
Mm.
some reason. They didn't ship. Yeah, they had a lot of product issues at the end.
Yeah, the shipping, I remember the shipping thing became the biggest issue. But
Yeah.
then I've had people message me and said, like they'll say that, but then those people were in the warehouse and they would have boxes
That had everything. They just
of
Boxes
things.
of product. Yep.
And they weren't the ones shipping it out. It wasn't the factory necessarily. Because, like, we all understood during COVID that a lot of things were delayed, like, because maybe the makeup might not be made in China, but sometimes the paper packaging, or like little things, or like the metal pots, stuff like that, because everything is so international. We all understood during COVID shipping was just a pain in the butt for
Yeah, shipping
everybody.
delays.
Yeah, like that
Yeah.
was one thing. And they used that as an excuse for the fandom boxes because I remember that was the time when the fandom boxes really stopped and I was getting like triple charged for fandom boxes and I had to message multiple times to be like, well, I still am missing I think 1 or 2 fandom boxes I paid for and never got refunded.
Yeah.
Because it got so confusing towards the end because they had triple charged me but they wouldn't announce what the box was and they're like, oh, we're having problems getting it because a lot of the jewelry was made in Asia. Like that definitely was, and they were having trouble getting it. And I know that was around the time like that those boxes largely stopped because of that issue. So I do remember that.
And I think a lot of, because we were so focused elsewhere, didn't really realize they weren't getting their boxes, their jewelry stuff until like months later. And then you're like, wait a second,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
where
And
was
I can't remember which boxes it would be now. Like I know I probably still have the emails because I was emailing and being like, hey, like you just charged me $46 3 different times and I don't have these boxes. Like can you at least send me my money back or like and then they just paused all subscriptions after a couple of months and then nothing ever happened after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So there was, a lot of the things that we loved, like they just, and COVID, I think, became the excuse for the shipping part. And then they just never actually got caught up. And then if you did get anything, a lot of it was the same stuff you'd already bought, or they would send like 3 of the same palette. So I'm like, but I don't need 3 Mean Girls palettes. I ended up giving a lot of it away to like my sisters and a couple friends because I'm like, well, what am I going to do with 3 of the same palette when I'm not going to go through this that fast? Like I'm not going to, it's going to take me forever and makeup does expire technically. So like, why would I keep this? So that I've heard a lot of people say is like, I kept getting sent the same exact thing when I finally did get something, it was the same thing. So like I couldn't use it or I gave it away.
Yeah. Is
Well,
anybody
and
in time? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say that, like, I can't not because we used to have a Nerd Block subscription, which had nothing to do with the group. It was all. And at the end of Nerd Block, they were also sending like the whole multiple thing or missing boxes or whatever. It wasn't at the same time, but like I don't know if it was a manufacturing problem potentially, just because I know Nerd Block was made in Asia a lot as well. But as far as like the whole accountability piece, I think that COVID gave them the out that they needed to finally end things kind of on their terms, for lack of a better description. Because I think that one of the ways, just going back to the accountability piece and the fact that we have really no legal recourse, like you were talking about earlier, Persephone. I think a lot of it also is that like I have enough to take them to small claims court. Like any one of us could take them to small claims court, but with any one person, they have, to my knowledge at least, avoided doing anything that would up it from small claims to anything larger.
Yeah.
And that shows a scary level of intelligence to me.
Yeah.
Because like you can't tell me that they didn't know how much they bilked everybody out of. Call me a conspiracy theorist if you want, but I think that especially E kept track of how much she got from each person and stopped at a certain marker so that it couldn't go past small claims if we chose to do that. But considering I live in another state, Nebraska has different laws than Kansas does.
And Canada even more so. And then they also have that lawsuit with the MGM.
Mm-hmm.
That I think that, I mean, I don't really understand how it works in the States, but if they paid out one of us, doesn't MGM have that then ability to start garnishing further from them? If they can prove,
so.
MGM can prove they can pay out other bills.
Mm-hmm.
What's
so.
what's the MGM? I don't know about that. Or I think I remember somebody posting like they've dug up some like court records or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't
If I
remember
correctly. They went and they wrapped up a bunch of bills down there effectively and left and didn't pay a dime.
Yeah.
Long story short, like yeah,
like the MGM Grand in Vegas, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
well,
Lord.
the MGM owns a
well, yeah, they own half the strip. But,
Yeah.
Hotel, but yeah, they stayed at an MGM hotel, racked up, like, and it was quite a large amount of money.
Yeah, you have to do a lot for a Vegas hotel to come after you legally.
Yeah,
they see stuff every day.
Yeah.
That's okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just, oh my God. Like I swear every time I do an episode, I learn something new that I didn't, that I'm like, oh, I didn't know about that one. Sure.
Well, okay, well, here's something that's always bothered me that I don't remember a lot of people talking about at the time. When E set up a TikTok account for her little girl, who was like 4 at the time, and was tagging it FYP.
Yeah.
And I said to her, I'm like, you don't want to tag your child in FYP, because what that means is that that's to bring it up on complete, just random people who are scrolling through TikTok. Well, I want lots of people to see it. And that really disturbed me on multiple levels. I'm like, first of all, don't put your small child on social media in the first place. Second of all, don't advertise her to strangers on the internet.
No,
And
that's
Yeah,
Well,
I'll say this now. I'm a mandated reporter, and I tried to report her for child neglect for that and child endangerment for that, and it went nowhere.
Good.
Yeah.
But I'm a mandated reporter in my state. She lives in Nebraska, and there wasn't anything that happened with it. But I did report her more than once.
Well, a lot of states do not have. So this is actually something I've studied a lot because of
They
the
don't have
Ruby
internet protection laws
Franke.
for kids.
Yeah, the I don't know if you know anything about Ruby Franke. There's documentaries about her, but her daughter, who was one of the victims of the YouTube channel and all the other abuses, wrote a book, and her mission is to go and get laws passed to protect children whose parents are posting them online for content like monetization. And, California put in laws in place because, they have Hollywood. So they're already kind of like ahead of the game when it comes to like child labor laws. And a lot of those influencers move to other states like Nebraska, Texas, and all that because they don't have any laws for that. So they can continue to make this content and put children online. And there is nothing stopping them from doing it, taking all the money. Kids won't ever probably see a dime of it. And they can be abused as a little puppet, like, dance moms, basically. And, so it doesn't surprise me they didn't do anything because there's probably not a law against putting your child online, even though now with all the AI scary crap, like if I ever have a child, you won't. I don't post my nieces and nephews. If it's a group picture, I put like a thing over their face, like a little emoji or something, so that way nobody can see their faces. And I'm very particular about that because it is very scary. But to tag it FYP is so gross.
No,
It's
if you even want to get further creeped out, if you get a video or whatever of a small child that comes across your page, look how many saves there are. Saves and shares and stuff like that. And that is exactly why my daughter's had her hand, and like this much of her hand, on my page, and it was on a 24-hour story, and that's as far as she's going to get being posted.
I think E had this dream of like, here's one more thing I can monetize and turn her kid into a little internet celebrity. But like the kids in those positions, you can look up like who their followers are. What's the oh shoot, what's the term? I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but it's always like, men age 18 to 45 are the ones who are the biggest fans of these little girl TikTok accounts. And the fact that she didn't, and honestly, it may not have even been as insidious as I'm thinking of, it may have just been like, oh, she's cute, people want to see her. But like, just to completely brush off somebody's concern about the safety of your child like that, very disturbing.
Well, look at what their mom did with them. You can look up old videos of them singing in public as children.
Yeah.
It was at the internet was still very much in its infancy, so we didn't have things like YouTube and stuff, but like they were being pushed out there the same way, like because they're identical triplets.
Yeah, like that pilot that they filmed and the music show they tried to get on and all that. I think that E's convinced she got cast like the Truman Show, and that like we just all live to watch her life. And I'm like, no. But she treats her life like a reality show. Having met her in person, it was very, it was
Real life.
It's really sad to me because I used to be a CPS worker. I worked in the ongoing and human trafficking unit, which meant I was dealing with some of the worst kinds of cases. So that stuff, and I actually now in my current job, one of the things I do is I educate other providers on how to identify grooming and prevent CSA. So it's something I'm like extremely passionate about because I've worked in this field for a while. I'm a survivor of CSA. And when I see parents just blatantly not caring about the safety of their child, and like you said, you see the saves, you see who's commenting, you see when you can go look at the shares of some of these people because they don't always keep it private. And like I've seen some of the most horrendous things where I'm like, are you all really that ignorant to how gross the world is with everything else we know about? And like you said, when you have someone who you claim to be friends with coming to you and saying, hey, this is a concern, I'm letting you know this is a concern and why, you should be receptive to that as long as they're being respectful, because some people overstep bounds. But that is a real concern of like, because M made a PayPal in her infant son's name to be able to scam people. So it's not like they were both doing these things. They were using their children for likes and stuff. They all had their own Instagrams and TikToks for their kids. They're using it as PayPal. These are all signs of emotional and financial abuse. All of it. Anytime I got a foster kid in my care when I was a worker, we had to check their social security number every month on a credit report to make sure their parents had not opened something in their name to steal their money, because it happens so much more than you think. And $20, I would bet $20 right now that they have done that with their children. I can't say for certain, but it would not, if we managed to find that, like there's no way we could without their socials, it would not shock me in any way whatsoever, because they already did it with PayPal, which means you had to have some sort of bank account attached to that PayPal. Did you open a bank account in that child's name? How did that work? So, because you have to have a bank account to use PayPal. Then where's the credit report? because there's a bank account. So have you taken out a credit card? Have you racked up with this other debt? That's financial abuse.
Yeah.
Yep.
My parents did it to me when I was a kid. They put bills on my name and all kinds of crap.
Mm-hmm. Happens all the time. It's happened for decades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Demographic. That's the word I couldn't think of. Is anybody in touch with I don't know, I guess M2, the triplet who kind of made things right
MI.
eventually?
I have a interesting little thing. I have not been in touch with her, but I got the alert the other day that she has viewed our TikTok. I sent it to Jess and was like, "Oh, hey, look who popped up." And so she's seen I don't know what she watched or anything, but she's seen it. I know she's active somewhat in a couple groups. I have not personally spoken to her. Um, you know, I don't know this for certain, but she did move away from her family and kind of did her own thing. And I'm not saying she's completely innocent, but like you said, she tried to make things right, and she was not participating in any of the scams as far as we're aware. I've never seen any evidence that she knew
Well,
about
and
the scams themselves or participated.
it's like I said on the previous episode, I hold her even more responsible than the other two because the other two said don't tell her and had some kind of fear, which implies she had some kind of power over her sisters and chose not to use it.
Mm. Well, we all went to her mom too. I know several people who went
Yeah.
to mom, and her exact response was, "I
Well,
can't
they're
control
grown
my
adults. I can't
daughters."
do anything.
Mm-hmm. But I've not spoken to her, but I know within the last week she's looked at the TikTok for this podcast.
I think the
That's
last time
interesting.
Yeah.
she posts every year on April Fool's Day, and then other than that, or it's either April Fool's Day or his
No, it's April Fool's Day.
his birthday, yeah.
Well,
But the only other time I've really seen her since everything imploded was when that out of the blue pregnancy post on Instagram, and she came in and she did like the grimace emoji and was like, "Yeah, I have conflicting feelings, but you know, at the end of the day, it's family." Something along those lines of, you know, she at the end of the day, it's family.
it's kind of funny that this is coming up right now because I'm working on an article about mourning living family members. How do we mourn a family member that's still alive that we've had to cut out? I'm working on this article for a submission to a magazine. And one of the things I'm talking about in the article is when we have that kind of toxic family and the societal pressure, like, oh, it's family, I have mixed feelings, but it's family. Like, how do we actually let go of that? Because we're not then holding our family accountable for bad behavior. And that's what actually creates generational curses and cycles, is not this mystical thing. It's the lack of holding the people we care the most about accountable for their bad behavior, their bad choices, the excuses that really shouldn't be excuses. Like, just because you were abused as a child does not give you an excuse to continue to do abusive things. That we have agency and choice. And, like, if your sisters are like this and you're not doing something about it, and they have hurt thousands of people, this is not
You are culpable.
5, 6 people. This is thousands of people internationally, because they also had, people buying their stuff at Ulta and stuff too. You are part of the problem, because if you cannot stand up and say something to them, we're also seeing it with people with certain political family members, not holding them accountable for these bad behaviors. If you're not standing up to them and having that courage, which I know can be very difficult, and I'm speaking from a little bit of a place of privilege, when they're doing something criminal, they're doing something this painful and criminal, and your business is attached to it because she was part of the business too, you are equally culpable. You don't get a pass for me fully. Like, the only thing is I'm not like calling you out more in this podcast typically, but you should have said something. You should have told your sisters, you need to freaking stop this or I'm going to report you myself. You should, like, there are things you could have done. And, because I get asked that question, like, would you turn a family member in if they did something illegal? And I'm like, well, it kind of
Absolutely.
depends. But if they like killed somebody, probably. like, because one, I don't want to be an accomplice to that. I'm sorry. I'm not going to handle jail very well. I worked in one. We ain't doing that. But two, if we don't hold the people we care about the most accountable, that's when the world falls apart. And we're seeing that now. We're seeing too many people not holding each other accountable for bad behavior. And this is definitely one of them. Like, one of the things when I was posting the short form content is I found a very famous makeup influencer's video doing one of the palettes, and I shared it in our story. There were many makeup influencers sharing them. And, of course, they didn't share them after everything fell apart, but like, not many people were really talking about this. There were some YouTube influencers who talked about their negative experiences with it, but no one was holding anyone accountable for anything they did at that time, especially their family.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well,
the
and
article
it
would be
seemed
really
like
hard read, but
seemed like everything fell apart like at the exact same time. Like the storybook wasn't meeting their shipment goals and turning off their Instagram comments at the exact same time that all the shit was hitting the fan in the group.
It was, and I think that's why it hurt so much, is how quick it was. It was not a slow death. This was like, you got your cancer diagnosis and you got the 2-month, terminal thing, and by goodness, that's what you got. There was no ease into, you've just lost something that was a huge part of your life.
I had somebody sent me a screenshot of the exact word for word message that I had received about buying those one of a kind prototype brushes. And then that same person also started sending me screenshots. She was one of the ones that got really hosed on the PayPal scam. And when I started seeing all those numbers adding up, I was done. And that's when I turned into I'm out like $30 from them. Like, I was one of the lucky ones. But like once I realized the extent of everything, I turned into like the biggest shit stirrer in the group. I was the one that tracked down MA, that she was the one that was selling stuff in the original group and in her side group with the raffles or whatever that bullshit was. That she was she was selling that stuff on her local Facebook marketplace too. Because then I started instant messaging people like, "Hey, is this the same Apple Pen that you bought from her that you haven't received yet? Hey, is this the same such and such that you bought from her that you didn't receive yet?" And that's when she came after me and was like, "I don't even know who you are. None of you people are my friends." And I was like, "You know who I am. We've had several conversations."
Yeah, scroll up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. None of you were my friends anyway. Well, you said we were.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, again, like I said, a lot of people, that group was their only friends. And they really hurt those people.
Yeah, I am a horribly introverted person who has very few like face-to-face genuine friendships. I have acquaintances, but I don't count very many people as friends. And that group was a really big social outlet for me.
It's very, I work with a lot of kids in my career, and a lot of them are teenagers, and we talk a lot about social media. And one of the things I really stress is, I'm like, internet friends can be totally valid. I have plenty of them. And I was like, sometimes we need in real life friends because it's a little easier to tell if they're going to be a jerk to us, like, I don't necessarily tell them this story, but I'm like, you can read body language around them, you can see things. It's a lot, it's less easy to deceive. Not that you can't get deceived in person, but like, the internet is way easier because look at catfishing and stuff. And you can now, with AI, you can pretend to be literally anything you want in the whole world. So it's like, you can have internet friends that are valid. You still got to be careful, just like you would in real life. But at least within real life, I can see your face. I can see possibly if you're lying to me. I can see your actions a little bit better. I can know that you're actually who you say you are for the most part. There's a little bit of that, even though that's got its own set of fears, but it's like it's really taught me to be like, I can't just rely on the internet anymore
Yeah.
because these are people that we talk to almost every damn day.
Well,
And
and
look what
I got paranoid there towards the end. I was like, I still suspect maybe some of the members of the group were actually pretending to be somebody else. Especially when we had the litigation group, and like,
oh
you know,
yeah.
and she was still finding out things that were being said in that group. And it's like, okay, either she's pretending to be somebody else and spying, or there is somebody who is still so far up the triplets' ass at this point, even though they have evidence that they've been liars and scammers and have ripped people off thousands of dollars, that are still like, oh, the triplets, you know, that again, that cult mentality of, you know, just, oh, they're so wonderful. And if you meet the triplets, you're special. If I'm feeding her this information, then I'm still in with one of the triplets. It was just so bizarre.
Yeah.
It's given like Charlie Manson family kind of thing, you know, like,
Oh no,
you know,
very
that's why
much
I'm like, don't let them out of jail, because I still don't fully believe they've completely let go, you know, of that personality trait. But it's that, you know, because like you said, I remember the litigation thing because they were finding out stuff, and they, you know, it's like, you know, there's always going to be a mole somewhere. I'm actually, I'm part of a different fandom that like has nothing to do with this, but I'm not in this particular Discord chat, but a friend of mine is, and she's like, we just found like a PR person for this particular fandom, like one of the actors is in this pretending to be someone else, and this is how we found out. And they were like doing shady things like that and
Oh
feeding information. And it
wow.
just so happened that they were able to figure it out based on some other evidence, like times she was posting matched some different things. And, you know, like, you know, the internet FBI can be like pretty amazing. But she was telling me about it, and it reminded me of this a little bit. I was like, because they would put people like that in there, they're loyalists and stuff, you know, and it's just kind of funny, like, you know, that they do that kind of stuff, you know, like, and it wouldn't surprise me if she was pretending to be, you know, a couple people, because it's so easy to do now.
Yeah.
It's so easy to do.
And
It
it's
would
just
not
so,
surprise me in any capacity.
yeah.
Well,
And it's just so silly because it all started out as like Harry Potter fans talking about jewelry and makeup.
yeah. It's just, it's such a weird, when you try to explain it to people, I'm like, just watch the podcast, you guys, or like listen, because I don't know how else to explain it. Like when I think I said this in the last episode, and I was explaining it to my boyfriend, because we've not been together for super long. He's just kind of looking at me. I'm like, can you just listen to the podcast? And like,
Well, because yeah, this week at my work, we said something about cults, and I was like, I was kind of in a cult, and they were like, "What? Tell us everything." And I said, I can't. It doesn't make sense because it's a Facebook group for nerd girls, and you just you can't really describe exactly
it's
what it was and how it happened, how it all went down.
Yeah.
a couple comments on the short form, like, so what did these women do? And I'm like, please just listen to the podcast. Like, I can't put it in a TikTok comment.
Yeah.
Like, do you have like 15 hours to read a book? Like,
Oh, I did have a lot of fun though there for that like month or so when everybody was posting TikToks about it.
yeah.
That was fun.
That's actually how my clients found out I was divorced, because I didn't know that one of my clients' dads had seen my TikTok, and like the community I work in is really small, and they were all sending it to each other. Like, did she tell you that she got divorced? Like, they didn't care about any of the rest of it. They're like, why didn't you tell us you were going through such a hard time? And I'm like, that's what you took away from that. I said it in like a 2-second little clip of my TikTok. And I was like, I'm blocking all you all on TikTok. Leave me alone. And that's how they all found out, is because I mentioned it in the TikTok about it.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I was like, hold on. And so, you know, like, it kind of cracks me up. So that's the day I went and blocked every single client on every social media I had. I was like, I love you all, but I need boundaries, please.
Right.
That was fun though for me, again, just because, you know, I was the shit stirrer and I don't want to be part of the drama, but I want to know all the drama. And I reached the point where I was like, okay, they're never gonna have to face any kind of legal repercussions for this. I was like, but at the very least, like, especially the one who we were just talking about, who apparently wants to be a public figure so badly. Like, like if you want to be a public figure so badly, you need to be publicly shamed for what you did.
Yeah. I mean, look at what happened to James Charles recently when he mocked the Spirit Airlines employee and lost like a bajillion followers.
Yeah.
I mean, he was already garbage anyway, if you know the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like, people are getting kind of tired of the lack of accountability in social media creators, and you're seeing more call for like actually being upstanding, actually standing up for things. And,
Yeah.
like we're having higher expectations for these creators, and which I think is a very good thing, because I'm kind of
here
sick
for
of
it.
the influencer culture anyway. I freaking hate influencer crap. But it's, if you want to be a public figure, you have to understand everything you do is public domain. Like, you have made that choice to put yourself out there, and this is the world we live in. And if you have a bajillion skeletons in your closet, or you don't monitor how you respond to things like he did,
Do
you're
you
going to be called
think,
out.
because I saw where E is doing, I think it was the TikTok or Instagram live, where it looks like her new thing now is to go to estate sales and buy a bunch of junk jewelry and then sell it online.
Yeah.
And I saw it was a live of something, and people from the group had found her, and they were making comments and trying to expose what she had done and telling people don't buy from her, she's a scammer. And I cannot remember the exact wording she used, but it was just like, oh, these people are obsessed with me, they want to bring me, or something like that. Like, do you think she genuinely believes that everyone just turned against her? Like,
I think she
she
does.
genuinely believes that she didn't do anything wrong and she's the victim?
You see that a lot. Now, I can't diagnose her, even though I do
Yeah,
have some
obviously.
background
Yeah.
in mental health, but
I mean, she's the
it
queen of
does.
Darvo, that's for sure.
Yeah, there is a element of a very narcissistic type personality. It would not shock me if she was evaluated and that came back, because it's this very poor me, I did all these things for these people, like there's this very disconnected view, like, because she was one of the ones who said, like, you weren't really our friends, and I don't know what you were thinking. And I think she thinks that she did all these favors for us, because that was one of the things she threw in my face is, when I was going through the divorce and I needed help getting the retainer because I did not have it. And, she threw in my face that she allowed me to post to offer services to like sell things and stuff to like try to raise the money. And that I ended up getting the money as, a donation from a few different people, that because she did that favor for me by allowing me to do that, that I owed her something.
Yep.
That I owed her a loyalty. I owed her, money and the scams and things like that. I owed her these things because she did that for me, instead of her just realizing I was a woman in need of some help in a not okay situation. And instead of being a good person and just doing that, it became transactional.
Yeah.
And then, I know I've mentioned in other episodes, I got dogpiled on by people not long after that, because my family had planned a trip. This was my first time meeting my actual father. And because they saw me at Universal, even though I did not pay for my ticket,
They
they
swore
thought,
used a retainer to pay for your vacation. I
yeah,
remember
and
that.
they came after me hard
Yep.
and were like accusing me. And some of that was trauma from like what the triplets had been doing at that point. But I actually just saw that message when I was going through my messages with E the other day. And she was like, don't worry, I'm handling it. I've got your back on this. This is not okay. Like, I'm so sorry you're going through this. Because part of why I didn't have the retainers, we had paid for this trip. COVID happened and they allowed us to move it, but I could not get that money back. It's not like I couldn't just get my airline money back to pay for it. You know how that works. Not everything is a pure refund. So, a lot of things were already in place that had been planned for 2 years. And then suddenly I was like, okay, my situation has gotten actually a little scary. I need to go. I need help with this right now. And I offered services. I was like, I'll knit you a scarf. I'll do this. I'll do tarot readings or whatever I got to do to earn money. I wasn't just asking for money. I was like, what can I do to do that? But she took it as, because I allowed you to post, you owe me something.
Yep.
That it was purely transactional. And then by then the group was devolving so much. And I just remember the day they dogpiled on me, I was like, this is not the same group I remember, because I blocked a bunch of people that day. And I still have them blocked because I just recently went through my block list for a different reason. And I was like, oh, yep, I remember, like, this is when this happened. And like, because it was about 15 to 20 people, because they were sending me like horrible messages, calling me a liar, all these things. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry that you don't understand that I can do whatever I want with my money regardless. I don't owe anyone this money, because people either donated or they bought a service and they made that choice. I didn't ask them to do that.
Yeah.
It's not like I asked Jess, like, can you lend me $50? I'll pay you back in 2 weeks. And then I go and like buy like a brand new iPhone and, like, haven't paid you back, like, that's a little shady. But but that had happened so much with the triplets at this point that everybody was on edge. So to some extent, I would never like be friends with those people again, but I can understand why they were responding that way. Why they were so upset, because the triplets had asked for money, and then they're going and buying VR headsets for the kids. They're going on trips. They're buying designer purses and clothes. People aren't getting their products. And people were starting to almost like French Revolution it a little bit. They were starting to get
Yeah.
angry, and they're like,
Well,
like,
there were
hey,
so many sob stories about car trouble. It was a car accident, and can't pay this bill, can't pay that
Yep.
bill.
Car trouble, car accident,
Got
lights went out,
arrested
gas went out, got arrested.
because the dead cat
Um,
wasn't vaccinated.
right.
the fleas in the house too, like the flea
Fleas in the house.
infestation.
No food was one.
Wasn't there
Um,
one time I'm sitting outside the urgent care and I can't pay my copay or something like that?
Yep.
Yeah. Rehoming the dog. They had to rehome the one dog because they said it snapped at one of the kids or something.
Yep.
You remember that? Like it did something with one of the kids, and they're like, oh, we gotta rehome it. We gotta do all this stuff for that. It
Yeah.
was a constant. There was never a day that went by that was not some new, fresh drama.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, listen, my life can be hard too, but I'm not hitting up people for money all the time. I hate asking for money. Like, I don't like doing it. But I'm not sitting here like, oh, yeah, I had this bad day. Let me see if people can give me $50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, here are some pictures of me at the HBO Emmys party.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just ridiculous. But so I feel like we're in a good wrap up place. Whoever would like to go first, what would you like to say to kind of wrap up this particular episode?
So for me, like I said, and I said this on the previous episode that I was on, like, it's like I said before, I'm a petty cunt. I will never be over this. I will, they went low. I will drag them to hell. Um, I, I know that we will never ever get the justice that we need, the justice that we deserve. I believe that there's I don't want to call it closure because closure is not the right word, but talking about it and being honest with it helps me process what I went through. And anything that we can do to prevent them from doing things like this again, I think is a necessary thing. Um, Again, they did apparently have good quality makeup. I'm not a makeup person. Again, I got into it because of a former student and kids had given me jewelry and things like that. I liked more the art side of it, like the digital art and things like that. That I found fascinating and really pretty. Um, but like I said, for me, this is as close to accountability as we will ever get with these three.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to me, that is the point of what we're doing. It's not slander. It's not libel because nothing's written. And it's not slander because everything we're saying is the truth.
Yeah.
And so I think that us not specifically naming them is a grace that I'm not sure if they really deserve, for lack of a better term. But again, like it helps to process it. I do like I said, I didn't know about the infidelity thing. I'm very entertained by that. It answers a lot of questions. It does answer a lot of questions. And it's yeah, it's just it was a wild ride. It was a really wild ride. I was thinking about like what are some other like positive things that have happened or like just kind of weird moments for the group that I remember. And for me, it really is like I've gotten to know Persephone, I've gotten to know Jess, I've gotten to know Christina, I've gotten to know I don't know if she's been on the podcast, but Amber, like I have several friends who have small businesses and things like that that I met through the group that I continue to support them. And so I am not glad for what happened to us because I will never be glad for that. I am not someone who believes in like the whole like beneficial fall type fallacy, like it had to happen, whatever. But I am glad for the people that I met. And I am glad for the friends that I do have now. And I will always be very thankful for the friends that I have that I made despite what happened to us, not because of what happened to us.
I like that.
Yeah.
Jennifer?
I mean, I just have so many conflicted feelings. Like I try to think about the good stuff. Like I have some really fun memories of the house cup. I remember, like climbing up into the attic to try and find my Land Before Time puppets from Pizza Hut, things like that. That Orlando meetup was so much fun. Like that group, we had such a great time. And like I said, I have two really good friends that in real life friends that came from this group, and I never would have met them otherwise. So I try to
Yeah.
think about that. It came along. I joined the group at a time it was probably I had just gone through a breakup and I didn't have a whole lot of in real life friends other than the person who got me in the group. But it was a good opportunity to kind of like embrace my nerd. All this stuff that I was always into, I was kind of like embarrassed about it, and it was cool to come into the group and see people. There were people with professional jobs, teachers, scientists, and all the way and moms, adults, grown-ups that I was like, oh, it is okay to be. And it was also the perfect timing of Funko Pops and Loungefly bags and everybody getting to nerd out over stuff like that. That's why I have a closet full of Funko Pops and Loungefly bags. But it was just nice to kind of find that community to embrace our nerdy selves and not be embarrassed about it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, is that really worth? Again, like I said, I'm only out $30. I'll live. But just knowing the harm that they did to people and seeing it happen in real time, I'm just, I don't say petty, I'd say cynical. I'm very cynical and I'm still just really just angry about it. Just really angry to see people who had the opportunity to do something really great. And like I said, I will always brag on how creative and talented I really thought they were, and maybe still are. I haven't seen anything that they've done in a couple years, but they just squandered all that opportunity. And I know COVID came along. I know there's shit that happens in business that you can't control, but the way that they went about it was to rip off the people that had supported them and who thought of them as friends, and fuck them. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we want their creativity these days.
Probably like a lot. I bet you they are all about AI and Chat GPT.
Yeah.
Would not shock me at all. All right. Well, Jess, is there anything you'd like to wrap up with before I complete this podcast for us today?
I mean, the three of them know what they did, and I guess thankful for the good times today. And thank you both for joining us today. And thank you to all of our listeners for always. And thank you, Persephone, for all the work that you do with us. And yeah, thank you.
All right. So now I have some merch ideas too. So keep an eye out for that. Like my brain is already going. But I want to thank you both for being on. You know, this is going to be our longest episode, I think, actually, which I was not expecting, honestly, because I wasn't sure how this would go. But I think it was a really good conversation about the accountability piece. And to kind of address the initials thing, I will say this. I have posted what the company name is, and a lot of things are public record. And that's all I'm going to say about that. There are lots of things that are easy to find if you really want to look for it. But we will be talking about the crime and punishment aspect of this on the next episode. So it will be a little bit more on that technical side of, you know, the things we tried to do legally. So it might not be the most entertaining, but it is one of the more detailed in terms of what we did try to do. So keep an eye out for that, as well as all the short form content. If you have any of the pieces that you kept, any videos you want to send or pictures, you know, that we can feature, please let us know. Send me a DM on our socials, and I'd be happy to make that a part of the posting schedule, you know, because I know, you know, some of us have kept a lot and some haven't kept much. Some have kept like a unique piece that maybe, you know, not everybody, you know, got or kept. So if you have anything like that you'd like us to share to kind of put out there, you know, you're more than welcome to. And as always, if you have any further information or you remember incidences like the infidelity thing and you want to add to that, you're more than welcome to message us, because we can always do a little short form piece or update on the next episode. But thank you to all of those who've been listening, especially we've been listened to in about 20 countries now, which is a little bit astonishing.
Cool.
We've been listened to in almost every state in the United States. We're almost there. So it's definitely been picking up. So thank you to all of our listeners and those who've been sharing and talking to us. If you're interested in being a guest, if you have a particular story, we would love to talk to you more about that and have you on. We're always looking for more contributors. But otherwise, thanks, everybody. I hope everybody has a great week, and we will see you all soon.
Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions or a story of your own about this organization, please feel free to email us. Our email will be linked in the description box. If you have experienced any trauma or abuse, please dial 988 for the crisis hotline. You are not alone. Please join us with our next episode, where we will be continuing to discuss what took place and how people are feeling about it today.